Using tech to revolutionize the coffee experience. That's our Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. Joining us from a company called Bunafr, B-U-N-A-F-R, is founder and CEO Anjani Annumalla. Hi, Anjani.
Hi, Fred.
Great to see you. And there are so many different ways to make coffee, high tech, low tech, everything in between. You're taking coffee lovers, I guess, back to the start of the process in a way here with the Bunafr roaster. Tell us about it.
That's right. That's right. And that's how coffee started. Coffee was discovered in Ethiopia, where they freshly roasted coffee and drank after it was a ceremony. It was coffee has a lot more to do with it when you freshly roast it. So the reason we are going back about it is because there are many reasons, but three primary reasons. Coffee's carbon footprint is astronomical, 150 billion kilograms per year. And that has happened because there are so many supply chain entities that sit between the coffee producer and the coffee drinker. There are 20 plus supply chain entities and touch points. By roasting coffee at home, we can significantly reduce that to 5 or 6. And thus save a lot of carbon footprint, the miles that travel between producer to consumer. Also, green coffee bean has a shelf life of 18 months, versus roasted coffee loses most of its flavors within 8 days. So people who are really buying coffee at the grocery store, unfortunately, most of us are drinking stale coffee that doesn't have any flavors. That's the need to add the additional external flavors and syrups and cream and sugar, all that stuff, right? But a good light roasted coffee, single origin, is delicious in itself. You don't need anything else. So customers are not really getting served with this current industry where people are drinking stale coffee. And when people really want to buy freshly roasted coffee from their local roasters, or even the high-end roasters like Blue Bottle and others, they are paying anywhere from $30, $35 a pound. But you'd be surprised to know, but farmers are probably getting like $2 or $3 a pound. So I think we thought about it. Okay, so farmers are getting stuck. Customers don't get what they want. Environment is getting impacted. What is the best way to solve this problem? After a lot of research and my background in supply chain technology, we thought democratizing roasting is going to make this coffee supply chain more streamlined, more efficient, and a level playing field for the farmers. Sorry, that was a long explanation.
Tell us a little bit more about your background and what your motivation was for trying to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. My background, I did my electrical engineering, worked as a software engineer, and then went to B school, then worked at Amazon supply chain, worldwide consumable expansion, fresh and pantry expansion across 10 different countries, building the North American fulfillment network, last mile, all that stuff. So I know retail from Amazon very well, retail and supply chain. And I loved coffee. Being in Seattle, like we talked about earlier, being in Seattle, I used to go to different coffee shops and love coffee. When COVID hit, I was not able to go to these coffee shops. And I started making my own espressos at home using the same beans that I get from these local roasters. Unfortunately, my coffee was not tasting the same after 3 or 4 days. And when I discovered the reason, when I did dive deep and understood why that's happening, it was because of the freshness. And that made me think, if freshness is so important, like in any other food and beverage, why don't we roast coffee freshly at home? Right? And people said, oh, it's complicated. And then on the other side, I saw companies were shipping 4 pounds and 4 ounces in 8-ounce bags over the air next day to keep the coffee fresh. And then I discovered green coffee bean has 18 months of shelf life. That's when it kind of triggered me. It's like, you can't roast it freshly, but in order to keep it fresh, we are shipping smaller quantities more often over the air. It's just going to make carbon footprint even worse. And finally, like when it comes to really personalized coffee, I discovered every origin of coffee is so different. And people say they love coffee, but customers are not getting access to it. So my background in supply chain and my passion for coffee is what drove this.
So tell us about the machine that you came up with here. Describe it for us and
Yeah,
step us through the user experience.
absolutely. But the experience is very simple. And we knew in order for customers to use the machine, it has to be very, very simple. So what we worked backwards from customers' user experience and design it. So the experience is like customers get once a month a green coffee beans delivered. They take that bag, they scan it against the roaster. Roaster has the RFID scanner, and there's a small RFID in the bag. Now, once they scan it, now roaster knows everything about the coffee, which origin it is, which bean, what the bean characteristics are, which we collect separately. And it also knows what customers like. So all the user has to do is add the green beans and push the button. And the roaster will do an automated roasting that is suitable to, let's say, your or my roast profile. If I like light versus like medium, it knows it does that. It knows the different origins. And then it takes about 10 minutes or even less to roast about half a pound of coffee, which is good for more than a week, like 8 to 10 days it goes typically if you're doing espressos or pour-overs or drip. So the value proposition is scan the bag, add beans, push the button, and you get the best cup of coffee without paying any attention to it for the entire week. The roaster also almost pushes the beans into a vacuum storage container. So all the user has to do is put the lid and they're good for the week. So that's the UX.
Very interesting. So do owners of the Bunafr machine, will they need to always buy their beans from the company here?
If they buy green beans from our company, we have done all the roasting science work and the legwork of optimizing and perfecting the roast profile for the beans, and they get it with the scan. But they can use any green beans, and they might not get that optimal roast profile. They have to tinker with it. So that's why we have an app that goes with it. If someone wants to create their own roast profile, they can also play with the settings and create their own proprietary roast profile too.
Interesting. So what does this work out to? We'll talk about the price of the machine, I guess, separately. Yeah. But what will it work out to in terms of the cost of a cup of coffee in comparison to?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So 30 cents per cup is what it's going to cost. So green beans of the highest quality, including shipping and everything, you can get it delivered at $6.95 per pound. And if you're drinking typical double shot espresso, we did the math, it costs around 30 cents a cup. Compared to, let's say, if you're getting a roasted coffee subscription on the specialty coffee, that costs anywhere around $1.40 or $1.50 per cup. And the coffee shops is a different story, as we all know. So roaster itself pays back. It's our value proposition is you're essentially getting a quality better than a cafe quality, a more personalized at the comfort of the home, but at the cost of grocery store or Folgers.
How expensive is the machine?
Machine is our MSRP is $8.99. We're still running an early bird promotions of $7.49 right now. So $8.99 is the MSRP.
All right. So there are a lot of people who spend a lot of money on, fancy coffee makers and things. I guess that's the market you go after first, right?
Exactly. We go after gourmet coffee lovers who already have a coffee grinder at home, and they do our espresso, pour-overs, drip, whatever. But they know the importance of grinding coffee at home. Those are the people. And then eventually we need to target the people who buy ground coffee too, which is a bigger market.
So what does this do to the environment in the household, if anything? Is this is the scent of the coffee roasting, which may or may not be a bad thing,
Yeah.
really permeating the house, or what?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so if you like the smell of a freshly ground coffee, tell people like they will love the fresh smell of the freshly roasted coffee even more. But the key there is after removal of smoke, coffee roasting, like most of the roasting, produces some amount of smoke. And that's where our technology is built. There's no roaster today in the market that actually a smokeless operation. They all produce smoke, trigger the smoke alarm, or you have to open the doors and windows, blah, 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 right? But with our machine, it's works for smokeless. So we absorb all the smoke. Only the nice aromas come out of the machine. And it's beautiful aromas, but there's no smoke.
Terrific. And, you know, I've read about people trying all kinds of things, even popcorn makers and things
That's
like
right.
that, to try to roast coffee at home. And I guess that can be a tricky process.
Oh, well, yeah, it is tricky. I mean, I have done it too. It's a very judgment. It requires a lot of human judgment, right? You have to look at it. It's a very involved process, and one of our value proposition is we want to make it a one push button, less involved. So popcorn popper is involved because the shaft goes everywhere. You have to clean up. You have to pay attention to the color of the beans, whether they're cracking or not. So everything is manual, and there's no controls. It's just one heat and one fan, right? One level. That might even burn the beans. Versus a machine like us, we have multiple different controls that plays into this roasting science of how the heat is applied over the course of the time. And that's what defines the taste.
So how can people get in line to buy one? Tell us about it.
You can go to the website. We just closed our Indiegogo earlier this week, but we are selling pre-orders on our website. Go to Bunafr.com and you can look for the roaster and pre-order it. We're going to be shipping it in summer this year. Still, we have a $749 price. From Monday, I think it's going to go to $899. So it's still a good time to get those savings a little bit.
Terrific. Again, it's Bunafr.com, BUNAFR.com. Anjani Annumalla, thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you, Fred. It's completely my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.